She said, "My feelings for you are not romantic." I said, "Appreciate the feedback." What she didn't know was that the engagement ring was already in my glove box. Hey Reddit, my ex told me she just wanted to be friends, so I treated her like one. Split bills, no favors, zero perks. She didn't like the lesson, but that was only the beginning. Let me tell you how it all went down. My name's Nick Rowe, 30 years old. I analyze data for a living, which basically means I spend most days turning chaos into clean lines. I keep things simple. Gym after work, clean apartment, minimal noise. My girlfriend, ex, technically, was Maya, 28. She worked in social media marketing, lived online, and needed the world to clap for her every breath. We'd been together 2 years. She filled space, I kept it organized. Somehow it worked. Or I thought it did. Friday ran like clockwork. I left the office at 6, hit the gym, and stopped by Rossi's, our spot. Chicken piccata for her, bolognese for me, and a small box of tiramisu. She called it her little heaven. I called it leverage. In the glove box, tucked under insurance papers, sat the receipt for a ring I'd spent months saving for. Paid in full. The ring was ready for pickup. I planned to propose on her next birthday. She liked grand gestures. I was ready to give her one. The second I opened the apartment door, something shifted. The lights were dim. The wrong playlist was on. Slow R&B, something she liked when she wanted attention. The air smelled heavy with her perfume, the one she used before a big pitch or a fight. Her laptop sat closed on the counter, wine glass half full. My gut knew this wasn't dinner. She sat at the table like she'd been practicing. Chin up, hands clasped, fake calm. "Nick," she started, "I've been thinking a lot lately." "That's dangerous," I said, setting the takeout on the counter. She inhaled through her nose, rehearsed and tight. "I need to be honest. This is nice. I love what you do for me." "Not you." The words hung for a second. She waited for an explosion. None came. I opened the bag, pulled out the containers, and laid them neatly on the table. "You want your pasta before it gets cold?" Her forehead creased. "You're not even going to—" "Nick, I'm trying to talk about us." "I heard you." I handed her the plastic fork. "Piccata, extra lemon, like always." She blinked fast, trying to stay in control. "That's it? You're just serving dinner? Seems like the least emotional option." I sat down, unbothered. The bolognese smelled perfect. I took a bite. "You wanted honesty. You gave it. I'm processing." That was the trigger. She pushed the chair back hard. "You're impossible. You don't feel anything, do you? Everything with you is logic, spreadsheets, silence?" I shrugged. "Silence keeps people from saying things they'll regret. God, you're emotionless." "No," I said, reaching for the tiramisu box. Just finished caring. I peeled the lid off, took a slow forkful. Creamy, perfect. The sugar hit. "Still sweet," I said quietly. "Just not worth the price anymore." She froze, lips parting like she didn't recognize me. I kept eating. She turned away, muttering, "You always win by doing nothing," then stormed down the hallway, door slamming behind her. The apartment went still again. I finished half the dessert, covered the rest, and cleaned the counter. Her perfume still lingered in the air, but the warmth was gone. It smelled like the end of something. I sat at my desk and pulled my phone out, opened the photo of the ring receipt. Simple gold, clean design, exactly her taste. I stared at it. No anger, just numbers adding up wrong. Then held delete and watched it vanish. The screen dimmed. Old habits kicked in. I opened my laptop, created a new spreadsheet, labeled it shared expenses, temporary. Columns for rent, groceries, utilities. If we were friends, we'd split things like friends. The city outside hummed, cars sliding past in the rain. I caught my reflection in the window. Same face, just quieter. There was a dull ache in my chest. Not heartbreak, just the echo of wasted effort. Maya wanted friendship. I decided to show her what that actually looked like. The next morning, I made 1 cup of coffee. Mine. The machine hissed like usual, but there was no second mug waiting. When she wandered in wearing my old t-shirt, she squinted at the counter. "Forget mine?" "No," I said, sipping. "You said we're friends. Friends make their own." By lunch, I'd stopped fixing her tech problems, too. Her laptop froze in the middle of a meeting, and she called from the other room. "Nick, it's lagging again." "Geek Squad's open late," I said without looking up. Bills got split clean down the middle. I itemized groceries, utilities, streaming services, every cent. She'd been freeloading for a while. She just hadn't noticed. The fridge looked bare but honest. No imported yogurt, no overpriced oat milk. When she added beauty products to my Amazon cart, I deleted them before checkout. Then I took the receipt to the jeweler and returned the ring. The refund hit 2 days later, clean exit on paper at least. On Sunday, I replaced the framed vacation photo above the TV with a plain black clock. Minimal, silent, accurate. When she saw it, she frowned. "Where's the photo from the beach?" "Storage," I said. Time felt more relevant. The first week, she acted like nothing had changed. The second, she didn't know how to act. One day, she brought home cupcakes and tried to chat. The next, she slammed cabinets hard enough to rattle the glass. She couldn't decide if she wanted to flirt or fight. "Remember when we used to cuddle after work?" she asked one night. "Yeah," I said. I also remember paying rent for my own side of the couch. At the gym, James, my training partner, noticed the new energy. "Bro, you look lighter. You detoxed a drama bomb." "She wanted to stay friends," I said. "Now she's getting the demo version." James laughed. "She canceled premium but still wants ad-free service." "Subscriptions end when payments stop," I told him. Maya's mood swings became her cardio. At home, she was warm. Online, she was volcanic. Her posts turned into cryptic therapy sessions. Strong women don't chase, they attract. The next day, funny how love dies quietly. In person, she poked at me just to see if I'd react. I didn't. "You're emotionally unavailable," she said during dinner one night. "I'm just selective," I answered. "You're cruel." "No," I said. "Just disciplined." She hated how calm I was. Every time she pushed, she got silence back, and silence made her unravel faster. A few nights later, after another argument that went nowhere, she demanded, "How can you sit there like nothing hurts you?" "Because you wanted honesty," I told her. "Friends don't weaponize it." That line ended the conversation. She grabbed her purse and left. The new clock ticked louder after the door slammed. Days passed like that. Routine, predictable, peaceful. Then the lease renewal letter arrived. I opened it at the counter, read it once, folded it neatly, and said to myself, 2 months left. Perfect. When she came home, she spotted the letter and froze. "We're renewing, right? We can just split everything like we have been." "I'm not renewing," I said. Her face fell. "Wait, you already found another place?" "Not yet," I said. "But I'm looking for peace, not square footage." She tried another angle. "We don't have to make it weird. We can stay friends." "I am staying friendly," I said. "That's why I'm leaving before I stop being civil." The next week, her tone changed again. She was sweet, soft, calculated. She knocked on my office door while I was working. "Hey," she said, leaning on the frame. "My sister's birthday dinner is next weekend. Big thing, family, photos, the usual. Can you come? Just for appearances?" "Appearances of what?" I asked. "Of us being civil," she said quickly. "My mom keeps asking about you. It'll be awkward if you're not there." I stared at her for a beat. She was trying to hold on to the story, not the man. "Fine," I said. "One night. No drama." That Saturday, I drove. She played her playlist. Loud, bubbly, full of songs about empowerment. I turned it down halfway through. She looked amazing, of course. She always did when she needed approval. Her family greeted me like I still belonged. Her dad clapped my shoulder, her mom hugged me, her sister squealed. Maya smiled too wide and called me babe twice before correcting herself. We ate, laughed, pretended. Between courses, she leaned close and whispered, "See? We still work together." I smiled without warmth. As a cover story, sure. Her eyes flashed. She spent the next hour pretending to be entertained while stabbing her salad like it owed her money. Her sister eventually asked, "You two okay?" Maya laughed too loudly. "Of course. We're just modern." I raised my glass. "To your sister," I said. "May her year be clearer than ours." Maya's fork froze midair. Her family laughed politely, unaware. I excused myself before dessert. Outside, under the parking lot lights, she caught up. "You didn't have to humiliate me in there," she hissed. "I didn't," I said. "You just stopped fitting the picture. You embarrassed me in front of my family." "I was polite, fed, and sober," I said. "That's more than some boyfriends manage." Her eyes shimmered, anger hiding under panic. "Why are you acting like none of this matters?" I unlocked the car. "Because you said it didn't." The ride home was dead silent. She stared out the window. I focused on the road. The tension in the car felt cleaner than the noise that came before it. When we pulled into the garage, she got out first and disappeared upstairs. I stayed behind, hands resting on the steering wheel, letting the quiet settle. The passenger seat still smelled like her perfume, sweet, heavy, artificial. I smiled once, short, sharp. Then went upstairs, opened my spreadsheet, and added a new line. Move out date, confirmed. By the end of the month, the apartment looked like a storage unit waiting for judgment. Boxes lined the wall, labels written in my clean block handwriting. The new lease deadline was up. I hadn't signed. Maya waited until I was packing the kitchen to start. "You're abandoning me," she said, arms crossed in one of my old shirts she'd refused to give back. I didn't look up. "You walked first," she scoffed, stepping closer. "Don't twist this. You're overreacting. We said we'd stay friends." I closed the box and taped it shut. "Friends don't pay rent together." "You're just punishing me," she shot back. "You're being spiteful because you can't control me anymore." I laughed once, quiet but sharp. "Control you? You fired HR but still want the benefits package." Her jaw dropped. "You think this is funny?" "A little," I said. "Mostly educational." She tried a different strategy. Her last card. Soft voice, slow walk, hand on my shoulder. "We can fix this," she whispered. "It doesn't have to end." I turned slightly so her hand slipped off. "It already did. You just showed up to the rerun." That cracked her composure. "You're really leaving me here alone? You have friends, family, followers?" I said. "You'll be fine." Her voice broke. "I don't want to start over." "Then you shouldn't have ended it," I said, lifting the last box. She stood there, speechless, mascara starting to bleed under her eyes. The smell of her perfume filled the room again, the same one from the night she killed the relationship. 2 knocks hit the door. James and Ben walked in like backup arriving on cue. James grinned. "Operation Evacuation Row. You ready?" "Almost," I said. Maya looked at them incredulous. "You brought help?" Ben shrugged. "He pays us in beer." We moved fast. James carried boxes, Ben handled the heavier stuff. Maya hovered, muttering under her breath about how cold and performative I was being. At one point, she snapped, "You're acting like I'm a stranger." I looked at her flatly. Strangers are polite. When the last box was in the elevator, she broke down completely. Tears, shaking voice, apology after apology, tangled with insults. "You're throwing away everything." "You wanted honesty," I told her. "I'm just living in it." The elevator doors slid shut between us. I didn't move, just listened to the metal hum as it dropped. Outside, the air was cold and clean. We loaded the boxes into my car, Ben's truck, and James's SUV. Maya stood at the window above, watching, her face blurred against the reflection of city lights. "Man," James said, sliding a box in, "she looks like she just realized you weren't bluffing." "I wasn't," I said. Ben checked his watch. "You hungry? You look like a guy who just deleted 2 years off his hard drive." "Starving," I said. We drove off. Halfway down the highway, I connected my phone to the car stereo. Her name still sat near the top of my contact list. I scrolled, hesitated for a second, then hit delete contact. The next song started right as the dashboard clock flipped to 12 a.m. Fresh day. Clean slate. James whistled. "Midnight reset, huh? You dramatic bastard." "Timing's everything," I said. We ended up at a bar downtown. Old brick, dim lights, decent bourbon. The kind of place where the music was low and the bartender minded his own business. We took a booth in the corner, surrounded by the smell of whiskey and fried food. "To the escape," James said, raising his glass. "To moving out before the fire starts," Ben added. I lifted mine. "To staying out." The first round hit easy. By the second, James was in full storyteller mode, reenacting my conversation with Maya in bad theater voice. "You're abandoning me," he mimicked. "No, you abandoned yourself, woman." He slammed the table like it was gospel. The nearby table laughed. Ben shook his head, grinning. "He's not wrong, though. She just didn't think you'd follow through," James said. "Most people don't expect consequences," I said. They laughed. I didn't need to. It felt good just listening. The night blurred into good noise. Banter, old stories, no pity. Every joke landed lighter. Every drink burned less. Around 1 in the morning, James started flirting with the bartender. Ben ordered food like a man possessed. I leaned back, watching the neon reflection ripple across my glass. The quiet felt earned. For the first time in months, there was no tension, no performance. Just the hum of the bar and 2 solid friends keeping things simple. At closing time, we walked out into the cold air, pockets buzzing from tabs we'd already closed. James clapped me on the shoulder. "You good, man?" "Better than I should be," I said. Ben tossed his keys. "You're a free agent now. Careful. Peace is addictive." They peeled off to their cars, and I stood there for a moment, looking down the empty street. My boxes were stacked neatly in the back of my car, parked at the building. They could wait. A rideshare idled at the curb. I slid in. The dashboard clock read 12:47 a.m. Still the same night, already a different life. The new condo was small, quiet, and spotless. Everything the last place wasn't. I kept it that way. One couch, one table, no clutter. The kind of space that didn't argue back. The hum of the fridge was the loudest thing in the room, and I liked it that way. Work came easy again. I stayed late by choice. Dr. Avery, my senior project lead, started noticing. She was sharp, gray hair, calm voice, and a way of seeing through people like glass. "You've been sharper lately," she said one afternoon, leaning over my desk. "Free time helps," I replied. "Breakup?" I smirked. "Promotion and emotional maturity." She chuckled. "Good. Keep it up. I've got a major account coming in. I want you leading it." That was all I needed. Purpose, direction, something measurable. Outside of work, things stayed clean too. I hit the gym, ate right, and didn't answer calls I didn't want. It was structure without noise. Until the noise tried finding me again. Maya started testing boundaries like she was checking for cracks. It began with a random, "Hope you're doing okay" text at midnight. Then a photo of her dinner with the caption, "Miss my food critic." I ignored them. She escalated to social media. Old couple photos reposted with nostalgic captions. I blocked her everywhere. Email was the only lane I left open. Documentation, not conversation. The next day, James noticed. "You finally blocked her?" "Yeah," he grinned. "Blocking self-care for men. It's a spa day for the brain," I said. He laughed. "You sound healed." "That means it's time to rejoin society. I'm good right here." "Nope," he said. "Charity dinner this Friday. Work's sponsoring it. You're coming." "I don't do small talk." "Perfect," he said. "Neither do the free drinks." By Friday night, I was standing next to him in a hall full of people pretending to care about silent auctions. The place smelled like wine and money. I could survive an hour, maybe two. Then I saw her. She was at the catering table, arranging desserts like an artist laying down paint. Dark hair pulled back, sleeves rolled, focus sharp. Lila Moreno, 27, pastry chef, name stitched in cursive on her apron. Butter and bloom. James nudged me. "Chef looks serious." "I respect people who measure things," I said. When I went up for coffee, she noticed me watching her set the table with impossible precision. "You look like you alphabetize your socks," she said without looking up. "Keeps chaos from thinking it's welcome," I replied. That earned a small smile. She slid a plate toward me. Red velvet, perfectly layered. "Try this. I want to see if your face moves." "Depends on the rating," I said, taking a fork. The first bite hit perfectly balanced. Espresso, cream, not too sweet. My jaw flexed once. "Well?" she asked. "Finally worth the price," I said. Her grin widened. "High praise from the human spreadsheet. You don't even know my name." "I don't have to. You fold your napkin before you sit down. That's data enough." We talked while she prepped the next tray. She told me she'd started her bakery with borrowed money and too much caffeine. I told her I used to design data models for people who didn't understand them. She laughed easily, but it wasn't forced. She didn't ask about the past, didn't fill silence just to prove she could. By the end of the night, I found myself helping her carry boxes to her van. James gave me a look across the parking lot, half smirk, half told you so. Lila wiped her hands on a towel. "You didn't have to help. I wanted to," I said. Felt like the efficient choice. She tilted her head. "You talk like a man who lives by spreadsheets. Only when they balance." Before she left, she handed me a small box tied with string. "For later." "What is it?" "Guess." When I got home, I opened it. A single slice of carrot cake sat inside, identical to the one from the dinner. I grabbed a fork, took a bite, and leaned against the counter. Perfect. Clean. Measured. I caught myself smiling. Real, quiet, unplanned. The kind of smile you don't perform for anyone. For the first time in a long while, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. It started quiet. Just small digital tremors before the quake. Maya's name began appearing on my notifications again. Fake accounts liking old photos. Tagged memories resurfacing from years ago. The first message came through email, full of self-pity. "I miss what we had. I realize now how much you cared for me." I didn't reply. The next week, she posted a carousel of selfies with some finance bro, captioned, "Moving on feels good." A day later, she deleted it and replaced it with a quote about men who pretend to be stoic but are emotionally vacant. James sent me screenshots with the caption, "She's speedrunning all 5 stages of grief, bro." "Looks like she skipped acceptance," I said. "Or never downloaded it." I laughed once, but it wasn't funny. People who live online can't stand silence. It's too loud. Then came the voice messages. Drunk, slurred, emotional car crashes. "You'll never find someone who knows you like I do." Another, a few hours later. "You think you're better than everyone because you don't feel anything." Then the last one. A quiet sob followed by, I hate that you're okay. I deleted all three. For a while, she went quiet again, and I thought the storm had passed. Then she showed up in person. It was a Tuesday evening. Gym night. I'd just finished a set when I heard my name echo through the noise. Nick. I turned and saw her at the front entrance. Makeup smeared, eyes too bright. She was talking too loud, drawing attention like she needed an audience. You've been ignoring me, she shouted across the room. You think you're better than me now? I put down the weights, wiped my hands, and walked over. Calm, measured steps. The closer I got, the more people turned to look. Maya, I said quietly, you're embarrassing yourself, not me. She flinched like she'd been slapped without touch. Don't you dare talk down to me. I'm not. I'm just asking you to stop before you regret the encore. She tried to argue, but security had already started walking over. They knew me. I nodded at them once. They handled it from there. She protested, cried, made a scene, and they guided her outside. James was at the squat rack, shaking his head. Bro, she just unlocked the bonus stage. She'll run out of lives soon enough, I said. He snorted. Man, she speed ran all 5 stages of grief in public. By the time I showered and left, the parking lot was empty. The peace returned like someone flipped a switch. But Maya wasn't done. She just changed platforms. 2 days later, her truth post hit social media, a full-blown rant calling me toxic, emotionally manipulative, and cold. She said I'd gaslit her into isolation. It was dramatic enough to go semi-viral. Her friends flooded the comments with sympathy. A few mutuals sent me screenshots asking if I wanted to clarify my side. I didn't. Silence outperforms outrage every time. James texted me a meme of a dumpster fire with the caption, "Your ex right now." I replied, "At least it's providing light." I went to work the next morning like nothing had happened. Dr. Avery glanced up from her laptop. You good? Never better, I said. She nodded once. Then keep it that way. That night, I stopped by Butter and Bloom. Lila was closing up, boxes of pastries stacked behind her. The smell of sugar and espresso cut through the cool air. You look like a man who just watched someone else's life burn down, she said, noticing my expression. Just another episode of bad reality TV, I said. She laughed softly, wiping her hands on her apron. I saw the post. People sent it to me. Of course they did. You really don't fight? She asked. Only when there's something left to win. She studied me for a moment, then nodded. Most people can't resist defending their name. My name doesn't need defending. It's spelled right already. Her smile lingered longer than it should have. You ever get tired of being unshakable? Not yet, I said. She poured 2 coffees and handed me one. We sat on the counter, legs dangling, the bakery dark except for the soft glow from the display case. She told me about her ex, a musician who wrote love songs for every girl but never for her. I told her about Maya. Short, factual, no bitterness. She listened without judgment, just quiet understanding. I don't think you're cold, she said finally. You just stopped volunteering for pain. That's one way to put it. We finished our coffee in silence. It wasn't awkward, it was clean. Outside, the city hummed, and for once, it didn't feel like a reminder of anything, just background noise. Before I left, she handed me a small pastry box. For surviving the internet, I raised an eyebrow. What's inside? Peace in layers, she said. Honey cake. When I got home, I opened it on the counter. The first bite hit. Balanced, steady, perfect. No drama, no echo, no past. I leaned against the counter, staring at the skyline through my window. The city lights flickered, faintly reflecting on the glass like the clock from my old apartment. I checked my phone once more. The notifications had slowed, her name buried under other things. I turned it face down and took another bite. Finally worth the price. 6 months passed. Life had gone still in the best way. My condo stayed clean, work stayed sharp, and drama stayed blocked. Dr. Avery had just handed me another big client. You've got precision most people fake, she said. I nodded. Occupational habit. James was still around. Gym, bourbon nights, sarcastic therapy sessions. We didn't talk about Maya anymore. Not until she forced her way back into the conversation. It was late Thursday evening. We were leaving the gym, laughing about James's latest dating disaster. The parking lot lights buzzed overhead, the air cool and heavy with humidity. That's when I saw her, Maya, leaning against my car like a ghost that hadn't figured out she was dead. Her hair was messy, makeup streaked, eyes wide with the kind of desperation that comes from running out of stories. She smiled when she saw me, but it cracked halfway through. Nick, she said, stepping forward. You look good. I sighed quietly. You don't. James froze beside me. You want me to? No, I said. It's fine. He gave me a look, the kind that said call if you need cleanup, and walked off toward his car. Maya's voice wavered between anger and nostalgia. You're still the same. Cold. Untouchable. I used to hate that, but now I get it. Congratulations, I said, unlocking my door. Closure's free tonight. She stepped closer, words tumbling faster. You think you won, don't you? You and that bakery girl. You just replaced me. I looked at her calmly. You left. I filled the space. Her laugh came out broken. You always make everything sound so logical, but you don't know what it's been like for me. I leaned against the car, arms crossed. Then enlighten me. She took a shaky breath. I found it. The ring receipt. Before I ended things. I saw how much you spent, how serious you were. I panicked. I didn't want to be trapped. Trapped? I repeated. I wasn't ready for that kind of commitment, she said. But when I realized you were actually gone, I understood. I didn't want to lose it all. I just wanted control. I nodded once. You wanted the perks of devotion without the cost of reciprocity. Her eyes filled with tears. Don't talk to me like a business deal. Then stop acting like one. She wiped her face, smearing the makeup further. I messed up, okay? But I've changed. I'm ready now. I'm ready to be the woman you wanted. Good for you, I said. The next guy will appreciate that. Her jaw tightened. Don't do that. Don't act like I don't matter to you. You loved me. I did, I said. You didn't. She stepped closer, close enough for the perfume to hit, a mix of old memories and poor timing. I do now, she whispered. Let's start over. Let's get married. It's not too late. I couldn't help the small laugh that escaped. Not cruel, just tired. You want the ring back? She nodded eagerly. Yes, I deserve that chance. I looked at her for a long second, then said, After everything you said and did, I'd rather throw it in the trash than put it on your hand. Her mouth dropped open. You're unbelievable. You think you're some perfect man? You're an abuser, Nick. A manipulator. You make people feel small just so you can feel big. I smiled faintly. If calling me that helps you sleep, go for it. She started crying harder, the kind of sob that didn't sound real anymore. I just want us back, she said through the tears. I want you. I unlocked the car, opened the door, and said quietly, You want the version of me that tolerated you. He doesn't live here anymore. Her hand grabbed my arm. Don't walk away from me again. I turned my head slightly. Last time you asked for honesty, I gave it. This is the sequel. I got in and closed the door. She banged on the window once, yelling something that faded behind the glass. I didn't look at her again. I put the car in gear and pulled out of the lot, leaving her standing under the buzzing light, small and angry against the dark. Halfway home, James called. You good? Yeah. She tried the tears? She tried everything. He exhaled. You're finally free, man. She just doesn't know it yet. Yeah, I said, staring at the road ahead. She'll figure it out when silence answers louder than words. The rest of the drive was quiet. No music, no thoughts loud enough to bother me. Just the hum of the tires and the faint glow of the dashboard clock flipping to 12 a.m. By the time I parked, the tension had drained completely. No anger, no nostalgia, just that clean stillness that comes after you stop explaining yourself to people who only hear what they want. I walked into my condo, dropped my keys on the counter, and looked out over the city. The lights blinked back in silence. When the condo lease came up, I sublet it and moved into the loft above Butter and Bloom. Fewer walls, less noise. A year later, peace had texture. It sounded like early mornings above Butter and Bloom, smelled like espresso and sugar, and looked like sunlight cutting across clean counters. I woke before the city did, brewed coffee, and unlocked the downstairs door while Lila prepped her pastry station. Delivery's late again, she said, tying her apron. I'll call them, I said, already checking the invoice. She grinned. You move like you're timing a rocket launch. Keeps chaos from thinking it's welcome. By 6 a.m., the place was alive. Customers stacking in line, bells jingling, ovens humming. I fixed the register when it glitched, handled a supplier call, and even boxed orders when her assistant was late. She managed the chaos. I eliminated it. When the rush died down, she leaned against the counter, cheeks flushed from the heat. You know, for someone who claims to hate small talk, you're great at customer service. I just don't talk small, I said. She laughed, sliding me a pastry. The black clock from my old apartment ticked above the register, steady and familiar. A reminder that time spent right never felt wasted. That evening, while cleaning up, my phone buzzed on the counter. The sender's name froze me for half a second. Maya. The subject line read, Closure. The email was long, messy, and typical. Half apology, half bait. I just want to meet once, talk things through. Maybe coffee? Lila walked over, drying her hands. You going to answer? I opened the message, scrolled once, and pressed delete. Old business, I said. Bad accounting. Her mouth twitched into a smile. You really are allergic to chaos. No, I said. I just stopped investing in volatility. That was it. No nostalgia, no temptation. Just deletion. The piece stayed put. 2 weeks later, after another long day, Lila was complaining about her flour supplier while I set the table for dinner. He shorted me again, said his driver miscounted. Sounds like creative math, I said. She kept talking, mid-rant, while I slid a small ring box across the counter. She froze. That's your pitch? Short, high-yield investment. She opened it, stared, and let out a breath that was half laugh, half shock. You're serious? I don't propose theories. A different ring, different math, same certainty. She looked down at the ring again, then at me. You're supposed to say something romantic. That was romantic, I said. Her laugh broke the quiet. Yes, obviously. When she said yes, it wasn't teary or dramatic, just calm, certain, like she'd already decided long before I asked. We toasted with leftover champagne from a catering job. Finally found something worth the risk, I said. 2 weeks before the wedding, trouble knocked. Literally. A man in a city inspector badge stood in the doorway with a clipboard. Routine permit audit, he said. Lila nearly dropped her whisk. What audit? We renewed everything. New code changes, the man replied. You might need to refile. Could take a few weeks. Her face drained. A few weeks? We can't close before the wedding. I stepped forward, calm as ever. Give me the forms. By noon, we had the filings in and a temporary operating permit taped to the door. Final sign-off was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Lila leaned against the counter, watching me finish the last email. You talk to bureaucrats like you're threatening to audit them. Numbers listen when people don't. She shook her head, smiling. You saved the shop. Just optimized it, I said. That night, we ate takeout on the floor and laughed until she fell asleep against my shoulder. Peace wasn't boring. It was maintenance done right. At the rehearsal dinner, the only turbulence came from Lila's mother, a kind woman, but suspicious of quiet men. He's polite, she told Lila in front of everyone, but he's so still. Does he ever raise his voice? Lila smirked. Only when the coffee machine breaks. Later, I stood to give a short thank you toast. I don't say much, I began, but Lila says enough for both of us. She's the reason I stopped looking backward. The room laughed, even her mother. By dessert, she was hugging me and calling me son. Efficient diplomacy. The wedding day came simple and perfect. Small garden behind the bakery, soft jazz, trays of pastries instead of cake. James was my best man, already 2 glasses ahead but still managing to be charming. Dr. Avery showed up, sharp as ever, and nodded her approval like she'd just signed off on another successful project. The vows were short. Lila said, You make silence sound like trust. I said, You turned it into home. When James gave his toast, it was half roast, half sermon. Nick taught me the best workout for heartbreak, blocking X's and lifting peace like a dumbbell. The crowd roared. We ended the night the way we lived, calm, deliberate, useful. Instead of tossing flowers, we boxed leftover pastries and delivered them to the shelter down the street. The volunteers were surprised, grateful. Lila's eyes glowed in the car ride home. You know, you're not bad at this partnership thing. I had a good teacher, I said. A week later, through the grapevine, I heard Maya had seen the wedding photos. Someone from the gym mentioned she wasn't taking it well. I didn't ask for details, but I pictured it easily. Her apartment lit only by her phone screen, wine glass half empty, scrolling through photos of me and Lila. Our simple ceremony, the smiles, the pastries. She'd post something cryptic about timing and closure, wait for likes that never turned into replies, then close the app to a silence she hadn't earned. The contrast didn't make me smug. It just confirmed I'd chosen right. Some people chase noise their whole lives and call it love. I'd learned better. A few nights later, Lila and I climbed onto the bakery roof after closing. City lights stretched out in gold lines across the horizon. She brought out 2 plates of tiramisu, her recipe, perfected over time. I think this one beats the last batch, she said. I took a bite, slow, still sweet. Worth the price? Every time. Below us, the bakery lights glowed warm through the windows. Inside, the black clock ticked. Steady, exact, unbothered. Lila leaned against me, quiet. The air smelled like sugar and peace. I looked out over the city that used to remind me of loss, and realized it finally meant something else. Feels good, she said softly. What does? Building something that doesn't need fixing. I nodded once. Maintenance is underrated. The clock ticked on, time doing its job. Peace isn't found after chaos. It's maintained when you stop inviting it in. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.